I imagine we'll see something awesome.
Welcome, everyone. It's 2:00. Welcome, everyone. We are going to get started in a few minutes here to let people log in. While we're waiting, if you don't mind, please put in the chat who you are and where you're from. We'd love to know who's joining us this afternoon. And while we're waiting, here's a video for you to watch. Enjoy the video.
eShow, a full-spectrum, cutting-edge software suite that manages every detail of your event with accuracy. Everything professional event organizers need at their fingertips. From registration and badge printing to conference session management to custom app, integrated website, and more tailored to your needs. eShow centralizes your event management all under one umbrella. Make registration more efficient and save time by streamlining event operations with easy check-in. Increase revenue with state-of-the-art exhibit hall and sponsorship sales and management. Capture all your leads and help bring people together to make business happen. Our user-friendly, customizable suite ensures every client gets exactly what they need to run their event successfully and a better attendee experience every time, effortlessly. Exceptional support with you every step of the way. Experience the eShow difference. Professional results made simple. Book a demo today.
Awesome. Wow, we've got people from all over the world here. I'm seeing a few from Austin, Texas. Roland, thanks for joining us from Budapest in the evening. That's awesome. We appreciate it. We have Pennsylvania here. So this is great to see such a turnout from all over the states and the world. So I guess we're ready to kick this off, right? Thanks for joining the eShow webinar, Inside eShow Events, Simplified, Driving Results and Experience. I am Diane Hurley. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications here at eShow. And I'm just here to introduce our illustrious speakers. But this is also about you. We're here to learn from you and share with you our expert knowledge that we have and the trends we're seeing. But we want to hear from you, as I said, so please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A to ask your questions. All questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. So now I'd like to introduce our two industry event experts, Liz Latham and Akshar Patel. Liz is the co-founder and Chief Community Officer at Club Ichi. Club Ichi is the #1 place for B2B event marketers to connect. Club Ichi is a community where innovative and experienced event marketers gather to share knowledge and resources, and most of all, have fun. It's a really great community to be a part of. Check out weareichi.com for more information. I'll put the URL in the chat in a few minutes. I'd also like, Liz beat me to it. There you go. Thanks, Liz. Also, feel free to follow Liz on LinkedIn. She's about to hit a milestone. Akshar Patel is our Vice President of Corporate Strategy and Development here at eShow. In addition to his current role, which keeps him extremely busy, I know because we're on the same team, Akshar serves as an advisory board member for the Philadelphia CBB and Shepherd Exposition Services. Connect Association magazine named him one of its 40 under 40 event industry professionals in 2019. And recently he was acknowledged as one of the top 50 voices in events to pay attention to by Gather Voices. So we've got a great group here for you today. And now I'm going to hand it over to you, Akshar and Liz.
Yay! Thank you so much, Diane.
Thanks, Diane. So Liz, first of all, thanks for joining us today on this webinar. I know you've been hitting milestones and making strides in Club Ichi, the Community Factory, and so forth. So again, just a heartfelt thank you from me and the team at eShow for joining me on this webinar today.
Well, thank you. I always love to talk tech, so this is going to be really fun.
Awesome. So, we're just coming back from IMEX and a bunch of industry events that we've just seen each other, Liz. And I think one of one of the factors that we're looking at, and maybe you can touch upon this as well, is what are some really big points and pain points, or some new things or some solutions event organizers, whether you're on the corporate side, the association side, the independent side. And I'd love to kind of get into that conversation from your end, and then also what eShow is doing to kind of provide solutions there.
You know what's really funny? We've been asking this question in Club Ichi. I've asked it of people while I was at IMEX a week or two ago, and then on LinkedIn. And honestly, the biggest pain point that people are telling me they have is filtering through the noise to even figure out what's out there. And so you and I have had this conversation of trying to back people up to figure out what they need, but they're so overwhelmed by the offers that exist that they can't even focus on what it is they're trying to accomplish anymore, because everyone's hitting them with, we have the best customer service, we're AI infused, we can be blockchain enabled, light up in the dark VR registration, as Roland called out one time. Like, it's ridiculous. And so I think that the pain point is cutting through the noise. And my biggest question that I kept asking was around these all-in-one tools. Because when I was at IMEX, we took a group of Club Ichi folks, like booth hopping. We did a little experience crawl and went to all the tech companies that we could talk to and asked for the differentiators. And the ones that said, well, we're an all-in-one tool that we're crafted with no integrations, it's all homegrown, but they all said it. So what's the differentiator, and does that matter, was the big question. And when I posed that question publicly, people said, no, I hate all-in-one. I absolutely don't like having a big behemoth own everything. I want to be able to put best-in-class tools together. But then privately, people would DM me and say, well, actually, all-in-one is a much better solution because I can control what I implement with the company. I usually have better customer service when I'm doing everything through one account. My procurement team is happier because we're only having to pay one person, and my IT team is happier because I have one throat to choke. So I thought that was a really interesting start of the conversation.
Yeah, I think publicly, no one wants to sometimes, be that hand that raises up in the back corner and say, yeah, I love all in one. And so it's kind of like a follower's conversation is what I would call it. But, I think the one thing that eShow prides itself in is that it can be all in one, or it could be a la carte, or it could be in modules, etc. And I think that's what's our biggest differentiator, that you don't have to have all the modules or go with everything that we provide. So just in a quick, nutshell, we provide anywhere between registration, pre-reg, on-site reg, to conference management, speaker logistics, trade show, exhibit management, mobile app, lead retrieval, etc. And some of our clients use the full, platform for all. Some are in the a la carte mode, and some are actually now adding more modules to it. So one of the things that we've seen, and I will be totally honest, I hate that we, keep on talking about COVID, or COVID happened, but COVID did change our industry, and I think we all know it, right? So we're teams, whether you're on the association side, corporate side, or independent side, teams have become very nimble. Stakes have become higher. Goals have become even more stronger, or more aggressive, I should say. And however, the team that's posed with putting on events, whether it's a 200-person gala or a small chapter event, all the way to a 15,000 person citywide, or a sales launch, etc., the stakes are higher, and the teams have become more nimble. So we want to make sure that any of our clients understand eShow as an extension of their own team. We're not going in there as a vendor title. We're not even going in as a supplier. We want to be a partner. We want to be an extension of your team. And what that does is that it gives the navigating power to the show organizers, or someone that's in the marketing department, the membership department, business development, any other department or revenue stream type group, to come together and use our platforms.
So question for you, does that become a professional services module, or is it just built in to when we go with eShow?
It could be either or. So it could be a professional service module, or it could be built in right from beginning. So what we're now seeing is a lot of clients that started with us on the reg side, they're bringing over the exhibit side. They're bringing over this conference management side, because it's just easier for them, because 2-3 years are contracted out. what we can typically do is, if let's say you're going to San Diego next month, that show finishes and you're in Anaheim or DC the following year, we can actually take all of that, let's say room inventory, all those logistics, and preload it for our clients into the system. So once you're done with one, you're ready to go on to the next. And what we're doing is minimizing that turnaround time, encompassing whether it's all in one or separate modules.
And I think that you're hitting on a pain point that a lot of people are having, but maybe not talking about yet, which is the reduction in number of team members they have. And so the number of events don't seem to be reducing, but the number of people working on them do. So we all know that when we're in the throes of creating an event, we're also in the throes deep in our event tech, trying to fix stuff all the time. So the opportunity to be able to have kind of one account management team to go, I just really need you to take this on for me, because I got to focus on all these audience acquisition or attendee comms issues, like that's amazing.
Yeah, and look, eShow is dipping into the AI side of things, the RFID side of things, and so forth. But that's still a pace that isn't at 100 miles an hour. That's at a pace of some are at 5 miles per hour, some are at 25, some are at 75. But I think the core objective is what is needed to be focused on, and we're helping clients do that. And then we're saying, why don't you adapt to this or enhance it with this, or digital signage is another thing that we're bringing to the forefront. So while we would love every client of ours to use everything, again, we don't push that right away, or we take that back step approach to say, let's walk you through this rather than push you through this.
Well, and I think that's great, because that is definitely a differentiator from the people we talk to who are like, no, we do everything, you buy us and we take it over, we kick out all your other stuff, and then we'll come like start from scratch, but build it out completely. And I like that you have the modular approach where it's like, actually, if you really love using Session Board, keep using that, and let's go integrate it into how we're doing these things. I like Linda said in the chat that she's brought over exhibit and sponsor transactions and is gaining now total member engagement. So that is true. The more that you're building out now, the more visibility you actually have in your dashboards.
Yeah, thank you, Linda, for that comment, and hope that you're enjoying the member engagement, because it's all about member engagement, right? So, I'm assuming the APTA as an association, they're seeing whether it's the sponsors or the exhibitors or the actual attendees or membership, engage with their systems and their team members, and that's pulling a lot of ROI.
Mm-hmm. All right, you had another big question to bring us?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to kind of see where your pulse is on a couple things is, we talked a little bit about the pain points and whatnot. Obviously, we've just come back from IMEX. We're now rolling into PCMA that's coming and so forth. But talk to me a little bit about how the independent sector has really also started to skyrocket. I think that's a demographic / business model that is really seeping into the industry, which is great. And what we're trying to do is also bring scale to our organization. So if you are a enterprise type organization, or you're independent, we want to be able to service all. But what are you hearing out there from the independent side as well, from meetings and events?
Right. Well, it wasn't that long ago that on the corporate side, you wanted to try to make sure you were super strategic so that you didn't get laid off, because if you were too logistics focused, they would lay you off and then hire an agency to run the logistics. But now, as entire teams are shrinking, we're losing the strategic insights that we used to have sitting in corporate, because they're getting laid off too. But you don't need to lose the strategy. So a lot of those really senior professionals are now coming back in as fractional head of events or solopreneur or freelancers to come in and bring strategy and logistics and even event technology operations back to the fold on a 1099, not a W-2 basis. Right. So now that we have that opportunity, we've got these freelancer solopreneurs that can say, I actually have expertise in this event tech, and I can help you navigate how to create an RFP for event tech. I can help you implement it. I can help you run it and do those things. So to get the solopreneurs and freelancers familiar with the event tech, I think is a huge new initiative that the event tech companies need to look at. So
I'll probably get my hand slapped by my internal team after this, because we weren't really going to talk about it, but I'll kind of preview this for you. But again, it's not live, it's not launched, it's nothing at the moment except for on our notebooks back at the
You heard it here first,
Yeah.
folks.
So what we're looking to do in 2025 is kind of create a program for whether it's independent event organizers or even third-party event agencies to utilize the platforms, but also kind of rev gen for their own selves, right? Like a licensing piece. Give me your your gut reaction or your instant reaction if I said, hey, I've got a product for one person that has 5 events or an agency that has 50 events, to utilize a software to help better organize themselves, but also in the end give a seamless experience for their client or clients. Does that interest you, or are you saying, Akshay, don't do that?
No, I think as a value add for a freelancer to be able to say, hey, if you guys don't pay an annual licensing fee for event tech, I already have a license to one, so I can come in and support you. Soup to nuts, you don't even have to think about it. And I think that is something that the solopreneurs and the freelancers are able to offer. So the more that you can support them in that, the better.
Right. Okay. Well, good. I think we have some clout on that. And again, not live, not launched. I just kind of previewed it, and I'll get my hand slapped after this.
No, I think it's a good thing to talk about. And I think getting feedback from the folks watching this webinar and inside Club Ichi is good. And as you build out that program, we can build out focus groups with you to make sure that it's going to benefit everybody. But I mean, I think everybody's in that position of feeling like they want to grow. So the more value that the freelancers can offer, and then the more revenue and customers that you can build, I think win-win, right?
So Liz, I'll punt it to you to ask any questions at this point as well. I want to make this conversational, but what's the chatter? What's Club Ichi feeling? I feel great and proud to see that Slack channel always tinging. I do silence it at night, so no offense, because of time differences. But tell me a little bit about how the industry is. What's the pulse out there from your end?
Well, so one of the questions that we've been asking a lot is around RFPs, because a lot of people say that the procurement team runs those RFPs. And so my question to you is really, how should people consider creating these RFPs? Because if you go, again, walking around IMEX, there were 13, 20 or so event tech companies there, and I could not find a differentiator whatsoever. So to Roland's question in the chat, like, how do you differentiate from Siva and Bisbo, like all of these things when they all have the same line? And if I look at the websites, they all give me the same features. So if I'm going to go do an RFP, what do you think I need to be asking in order to actually pull out the differentiators?
So great question. I think the RFP piece, and Roland, I'll try to also answer your question in line with this as well. The RFP piece right now is probably at the most crucial point in its life cycle. And what we're seeing is that we're seeing a lot of RFPs that come in that are either general, or they're just a laundry list of 100 questions. And when you're going through either a general RFP or a laundry list of 100 questions, it's really hard for someone on the supplier side to really give you the answers that you need to move forward. So what we've been actually trying to do is, if we get an RFP, I think there's 4 or 5 major either areas you want to formulate the questions or needs from, or on the exploratory call, invite these 5 individuals. So someone that takes care of your revenue side, whether it's membership or corporate, someone from the biz dev team, someone from a marketing aspect, someone from an IT or technology manager type aspect, and the 4th is someone that now is probably going to be responsible for an experience. I think when you have these 5 or 6 individuals or key people on the RFP, or that have contributed to the RFP, or secondary to the exploratory call, that's going to reduce the time of back and forth and the communication of questions. So if you're going to RFP, you're probably more than 50% in all seriousness looking at either a new solution that is needed, that you want to disrupt the existing solution, or you're coming up on terms that your current contract or provider is going to be ending, and so forth. And when you have these, people or these kind of outlines broken out from the get-go, it gives us it gives us a more concise picture of what you need. So we're more of a consultation, not a sales pitch out the door type company. I think that's what is one of our differentiators. We want to be more consultative in the beginning phases, and then we also want to be more consultative during the whole onboarding, the journey, and post as well. So one of the differentiators I think that eShow has is that we're with you throughout the full journey. We're not just with you during the sales and you're handed over it. You keep on getting handed over it. The other thing that differentiates us from some of our respected comp sets is our pricing model as well. We don't do a per person pricing model. We're based on events. How many events? Yes, there's a scale of how many attendees and so forth, but we don't have a per person transaction fee. We don't feel that it's the right model, at least for us. And
or worth being punished for having a bigger event.
yeah, that as well, right? I mean, when I was on the shows management side, my goal was every year to increase either the trade show size or the attendee size by 2 to 3%, right? And obviously, I know that if I grow it by 2 to 3%, I'll have other costs that go up. But why am I being penalized to actually having more people go through the system when some things will have per head pricing, but I think that's one of our differentiators. And I think the third differentiator is that I know a lot of people say it, but I can definitely sign with confidence that our team is backed by either events backgrounds, hospitality backgrounds, or the service industry. So they understand that even if you're writing code, you're writing logic, who you're writing it for. I joke about one of our team members, and I don't know if he's listening on here, but he's on the road like 200 days plus a year. I mean, he likes doing that, but it helps our company be branded that way as well, right? And clients really enjoy having a dedicated team or a person at their events. So that's the one thing that we get to know the client. We become an extension of their team, but we're also invested in their attendees, and I think that is our one of our biggest differentiators.
Yeah, I think the pricing model is important because when I was in corporate and we were first trying to find a technology solution, I didn't know how many events we were going to have because we were kind of in the off process of determining what events we were going to go to and also trying to implement event technology to cover all of it. So it's like, I can't sign on the line for 1 million attendees to run through my programs because I don't even know if we're going to have our big mega event next year because blah, 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 So I think that being able to have something where it's like, look, here's my pricing model. I can kind of set it on this, and then they're going to work with me on if we need to ebb and flow that number. That's actually some really great confidence to have.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, so as you're building out the RP, you mentioned revenue, biz dev, marketing, IT, and someone in charge of the experience to all come together to build it out. Where quite often what we were hearing is, well, my procurement team and IT team take the lead because it's technology. So what we want to do is make sure that the event folks are in there and then pulling in some of the other people. So why do you think we need to bring in biz dev and revenue into the conversation?
So as Linda mentioned, when they brought over the exhibit and sponsor transactions, I'm assuming this, I don't know this for, concretely, but I would say that someone on the biz dev and revenue, when you have exhibitors that are, paying for space or sponsorship, that's the driving force behind events, whether you're on the corporate side or on the association side, right? So when you're building the exhibit, sponsor, and the revenue side, what is the journey of that person's experience? What is the journey of workflows, financial flows at any dashboard? Whether you're on the executive side or the associate side, executives want to be able to know and at their fingertips, where are we sitting today from a revenue standpoint? Are we gonna hit our goals? Are we gonna break even? Are we gonna lose money on this, etc.? And that's key, right? I think that's where events have become more of a business opportunity. and they should to a certain degree, but it then again, it just brings in the whole journey. I've been using this analogy that, event technology nowadays, is like the bellman or the bellwoman of a hotel. It's the first thing you experience when you're either registering for an event, you're looking at a prospectus, or you're looking at, any other opportunity. And if you don't have these people on board from the beginning, it's hard to translate what I've just said to an event organizer back to your teams. So why not just get it from the horse's mouth, get everyone on the same call, the same room? Recently we also believe in one differentiator is like face-to-face meetings are necessary. So if a client says, I would love for you to come to our office and present and so forth, we're on the next flight out, or, we'll schedule it that way, that we're not going to hide behind just a Zoom call or some papers to propose us out. But I think that's one of the key reasons why biz dev, sponsorship, revenue should be part of this whole cycle and journey.
That's a really interesting perspective, and I'm sure that they are not often brought into that early part of the RFP process. I had a really interesting Club Ichi member suggest that he doesn't jump straight to RFPs. Whenever he's starting to do the event tech exploration, he'll start with an RFI and actually just get information from 6 to 10 so that they can whittle it down an RFP down to 3. So I think there is a differentiator in what modules are built in-house with all-in-one, what modules need to be brought in separately, and which modules are all-in-one but came in through acquisition, to understand what the connection points in technology are. So how do you recommend, like, if you have no idea what modules exist? A lot of people start with, well, I know I need registration. I definitely have an expo, so I need the exhibitor part. I don't know the difference between exhibitor and sponsor and if they're separate modules. I probably need a mobile app, but I don't know why. So what questions are you trying to get from the internal teams to go ask?
I think the couple of major questions is, one is around technology and integration. So when you're asking for the information, it'd be good to know what existing systems you have internally, whether it's, are we going to be integrating with them or are we going to be replacing them? The second question, I think, is scaling, right? Where you are today, where do you want to be 3, 5, 7, or 1 year out, et cetera. That would help us put together the right either RFI or RFP. Third, I think, is timelines. The hotel business, what we call pop-up business, is the short-term business is just gangbusters right now, right? So what is your timeline? We typically have a timeline of 30 business days of implementation, post contract signing, etc. But we've had some interesting requests that today's October 30th. Halloween's right around the corner, so no trick or treats tomorrow if you need an assistant for November 1. But there are some really hard deadlines that we try to make, but sometimes we're not able to make those, and we're just being realistic. We don't want to shove a square into a triangle type situation. And I think the fourth is, if you have budgetary restrictions, or you need to stay within budget, let us know that as well. Again, that's one of the reasons that we don't do a per person model on the pricing. So if someone says, I have this much to work with this year, we could scale in the following years. Okay, let's take that approach, because if we give you the scaled version, you're going to say no right away because it doesn't fit your needs right there. So I think those are the 3 to 4 major points, that whether you're doing an RFI, or maybe that's the RFI piece, and then that turns into an RFP piece.
So I don't need you to give me a quote right this second, but on the budget front, I mean, I demoed a tool yesterday that was $1,600 for an event, and then I know other ones that are charging $100,000 for a year-long contract. So how should people be considering, like, where do you put budget in? Is there a percentage of an event budget that should be focused on this kind of tech, or is it like, I just don't even know where to begin? Which is where an RFI, I think, comes in, is because it's like, yeah, I can't put my budget in the RFP because I don't have a clue what I'm supposed to be putting in there.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have the answer to that, but I would say, anywhere around $40,000 or above for a decent sized, 4-digit number attendee event would be where you want to start. Again, it all depends. We've got clients that are utilizing just our mobile app at the moment, to kind of test the waters. Our new version of the app is coming out just in a couple of weeks. We enhanced it with more, networking opportunities, sponsorship opportunities, because what we saw was that essentially no one was doing the early bird registrations anymore. Whether you've got, the creme de la creme as a keynote, or entertainment factors, or, activations factors, etc., people are valuing their time. So the window of registrations really upticks in 45 days or less. And with that 45-day window, they're trying to figure out, okay, if I download the app, who's going? Is it going to be worth it for me to go? Because I'm going to see, Tom, Sally, Mary, and maybe Joe's coming. I don't know. So it's a hard fluctuation. So that's why the mobile side, the matchmaking side, networking side is pretty crucial as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's got to be some sort of calculation we can go find of all of the work that I'm currently doing in Excel is 20 hours a week for someone making X salary. If you can remove that, because now it's in an accessible database that people can access, like I'm sure there's some magic to be had. But truly, what is the process, especially right now when costs are going up? Like somebody just told me that their AV costs when they moved from one city to the other went up 260%, just changing cities. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling awful. So I feel like everyone has to start with a zero-based budget. So is the RFI the best way to go? Which is like, if I'm looking for this, where should my starting point be? Yeah. Or is it just a discovery call? Like, is it just, hey, here's what I need, about what should I start with?
I always suggest a discovery call, because you can't get the emotions on paper. You just can't. If a discovery call is not able to be scheduled, then fine, do an RFI. But again, I think those 5 points that I mentioned, like where do you need to be outlined there. Lucky for us, our costs don't change per city. I think the only thing that will change is on-site team, or on travel, etc. But again, we're not saying that you're going to be in California one year, it's going to be one price. DC is a whole different price. Like, we're not doing that model at all. 100%.
Right. Awesome. Okay, so perfect size event for eShow. If you got field events, is it mostly conference with expo? Like, what's the dream for you guys?
The bigger the better. Yeah, the bigger the better. But again, I think our sweet spot is right around the 7,500 and north of that. Okay. But we're also doing, the 3 and the 5s as well. That's why again, our differentiating point is we're scalable. We're not just sitting at the 20,000, scaled events. We have a solution for every tier, in every price point, in every budget point, every service point. And when we see an RFP, we're not just saying, no, let's not touch it, because it's not going to drive either value, or it's not our model. We've got solutions like what we call eShow in a box, or eReg in a box, and it's perfect for smaller chapter meetings. We've seen that on the association side, that while an association may be HQ'd in Chicago, DC, etc., they're letting their chapters kind of run as an entity. Maybe that's the right word. Yeah. So we've got a setup where it's roughly about $2,500 plus or minus dollars. We send out 2 laptops, 2 printers, some badge stocks, and so forth. And it's a 1 year, it's a yearly license. So you could use that, at your chapter events, but it's integrated back to a CRM or a database that you want to hook it back up to. So HQ can pull that data at any given time, or you can push and pull that data. But you're also not relying on HQ for resources. So, we've done a lot of innovative things in scalability as well.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. So nationwide or international headquarters has the license overall, and then the chapters can have the smaller ones and they can execute. And thinking of that from a corporate standpoint, so that means that headquarters can have the global procurement agreement, but field marketing teams or regional teams can go execute the smaller programs and still roll it all up into your Salesforce or whatever you're using.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you've probably seen it, but we just actually launched a partnership with Shepherd Exposition Services as well. The idea behind that is that Shepherd has a kind of network solution community, and we've been talking for quite some time now, and we found that our services are easily integratable with their services. So, if you're a trade show type event, again, your exhibits, your sponsorship, your registration, your AV, your everything a general service contractor could do, we could facilitate that and support that. So again, one client has only one company or one subset to have to deal with and maneuver through. So we found great synergy there. Another thing that we're doing is partnering up with IMIS, a top CRM provider that our solution integrates and bridges well with theirs. So what that's doing is that it's just cutting down the one of the I's or the information in that RFI to say, if you're an IMIS, eShow easily integrates with IMIS. Let's just keep on talking and move forward. We're doing that with Nobi systems as well. So we're trying to make life easier. I think maybe that's the quote you want to take away from today. eShow is trying to make an event organizer's life easier.
Okay, so let's take it from, let's say I have my 10,000 person professional association industry event. I've got keynotes, breakout, expo, all the things, ancillary programs that are happening, evening events, and all the things. So soup to nuts. Which parts and pieces does eShow fulfill there? So you've got the call for papers. Is that part of it?
Check.
Exhibit and sponsor sales.
Check.
The exhibit portal so that they get all their info.
Check.
You've got obviously the agenda for attendees to be able to pick their sessions.
Check.
A mobile app for them to access.
Check.
Is there a networking component for attendees to find each other?
Check.
What about back of house? Is there a management platform for people to be able, the managers on site, to find all the stuff?
Yeah, so you could basically, if you're going to the JW Marriott in any city and you've signed your contract, take all that room inventory and we would preload that for you. We meaning our team preloads that for you, hands it back to you. So when you're scheduling sessions, you can build out your AV, your food and beverage, your room set, and it generates into documents, essentially your BEO. And you can pass on those logistics to the hotel, the venue, convention center, and it's all in one platform. You know this better than anyone. The affiliate meetings, my boss wants to have that meeting, a sponsor wants to have that meeting, that whole management of it. Throw the Excel sheets away, because version control is the most detrimental thing to, I think, any event, and load it into this platform so it does all that. One thing
you bring up a really good one. So I want to dig into that a little bit, because there's a little industry shakeup on how to do meetings management now. So is that built into your tool? Like if you have an on-site briefing center or executive tools, you can do that level of small meetings?
Yep, absolutely.
And invitations go out through that as well. So you can even manage invites.
You can do invites, you can do confirmations. So again, it's all automated too. You can automate this system to say on such and such date, release this, and so forth. So you can do anything. One thing that you didn't ask me about, but I'm going to tell you, is that we're also doing abstract management. The life science industry on the event side is one major gorilla. And with abstracts, submissions, approvals, posters, all of that, we've got a platform, or a module, I should say, that sits within our platform that manages all of that. So then when the committee goes into either approve, reject, review, etc., they can do it all through that system. And then, while I was talking about the Shepherd piece of it, typically when your poster is approved, the GSC then needs to fulfill it, right? So again, that communication is what we're looking to do with the Shepherd or any other GSC, to say, here's all the approved posters, go to print, go that way. Because
that's awesome.
Again, I lived a life science show director one year, and abstracts made me sweaty as anything. They're the most nerve-wracking because you literally have someone's, life or their future in your hands, and you don't want to mess that up. Trust me.
Right. Okay, so now you get on site. You have on-site registration, your staff or the organization staff?
Organization staff or temp staff. We have a dedicated team that's always there on the back end to make sure the system is running at all ends. Any supplies needed, etc. You can, source it through us as well. But we're there as an extension to make sure everything runs smoothly.
And a second ago, you mentioned RFID. So on site, what's that capability?
So we are in talks with RFID badges, for tracking through sessions, through checkpoints, through trade show, etc. The badge is basically your ticket into everything. Show organizers need that data. Where's my attendee going? Is my attendee sitting in the coffee shop for the next 5 hours, not going to education, not going to sessions, not going to trade show? Where's that attendee most active, right? And to track that, we're looking at scanning of RFIDs, session green light, red light, QR codes. How do we get that data? Because it's all about the data at the end of the day. You can't make decisions for the future to your event strategy without the data.
Post-event surveys, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, so now the event's over and I've got dashboards. So what am I able to capture in there?
Sorry, say that again, you broke up.
Dashboard. So now that it's over and I got to pull my reports and show my executives how great my event was, is everything in the dashboard? Do I create my own reports? How does that work?
Everything sits in the dashboard. We have our templates of reports as well, but you have the ability to customize your reports as well. If you want certain data to pull in certain reports, or again, business development, revenue, membership, marketing, they want their reports separated. You can create all those, and you can either merge them together or you can have them separated.
Can they get access in to see their own reports so I don't have to pull it for them? Because if I have to send stuff to the membership manager all the time, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I really like that level of control where I can just send a link and it's going to automatically update and they just need to bookmark that link. That just makes my life so much easier.
So I know we're kind of coming up on the, end point here, and I don't know if there's any questions that want to be asked by the audience or whatnot, but maybe we can kind of field those as well.
Yeah, this is fun. I appreciate you taking me through some of these things and just making sure that we're fully oriented to all of the parts and pieces of it. So that was fun.
Yeah.
What you got, Diane?
Yeah, I was actually just about to send you both a note and say time check. So you anticipated what I was about to. We're all in the same wavelength here. We have a few questions. First, actually, I know you addressed this a little bit earlier. It was Ronald's question. Could you elaborate on how eShow plans to differentiate its solution from existing event management platforms like Cvent, Visibo, or Hopin?
Yeah, I think I touched upon that. So one is around our pricing model. We're not a per person pricing model. We're going to do it by either events or modules. The second piece is around service. As I mentioned, we want to make sure our clients, whether they're existing, new, win backs, etc., get the same level of service from the time papers are inked. And we have a dedicated team that goes, through that whole piece. And, one of the things that we always hear is that, sales books it and operation cooks it. At eShow, we're in daily conversations with our ops and services team, and making sure that, whatever's handed over, there's clarity to it. And then, the client knows that the sales or the marketing team always has a foot in with our service teams and our ops teams. So I think those two are our biggest differentiators.
Great. This one, I think there is a no to the answer, but we can certainly accommodate this. Are we going to see an eShow platform during this webinar? I think a demo is what we're asking, and we don't really have time for that for this, but we can certainly set up a time to have one of our members of our sales team reach out to you to do a demo. Correct, Akshar?
Yep, for sure.
What is your
And,
approach
and
to
I will
ins-
also say within Club Ichi for insiders in mid-November, I think on the 12th, we're going to do a series of 7-minute demos to get a bunch of different types of technology in together. So we get like 7 minutes of a bunch of different things to come in. So hopefully we can have the eShow team come and be one of those.
Sure,
Yeah,
send
we
us
would
the
love
invite.
that.
Yep, we'll put it on the calendar. Send us an invite. We will be there.
Yes.
Another. I'm sorry, my end. What is your approach to ensuring clients can quickly adopt and get value from core features without getting lost in rarely used extras that might make the system more rigid and harder to maintain?
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
So, one of our Dan, say the first part of that question again because you broke up on my side. So make sure.
Chris, can you put that back up, please? Sorry, it was. Oh, here it is. What is your approach to ensuring clients can quickly adopt and get value from core features without getting lost in rarely used extras that might make the system more rigid and harder to maintain?
So yeah, great question. So as I mentioned, the onboarding journey, we actually have a team dedicated to ensuring that the education piece of our system is also conducted as much as you want, or even during that whole piece. So if you want to just make sure you're the master of the registration portal, we will ensure that happens from our side and give you as much support needed. We've got a new team member transitioning actually into a new role around customer service and so forth. And that's one of the key reasons why this person is going to be heading this whole endeavor up, because it can be daunting. Change is always hard for a lot of us, whether it looks shiny and new or if it looks dull and old. But we want to make sure that you don't get lost in this whole thing. And after the deal is done or we're onboarded and you're onboarded, you have a constant educational tool as well.
And I would interject one of the questions that I had when we were going through the modules, and I spaced as I asked a different one, was the hotel integration. Because you mentioned we can load your rooming list or whatever. Is there like a hotel rooming module?
So there's no rooming module at the moment. We are in discussions with some housing partners at the moment to kind of do that. We don't have a housing portal, but in terms of the meeting management side, we can take that inventory and bring it in as mentioned.
Okay, so when you're building out, if you've got like a citywide or something with multi-properties, that's where you can kind of manage all of those details within the system, keep contracts and BEOs and everything property to property,
Correct.
And then see it all in one place.
Correct. Yep.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And I think if I looked at Alma, your question, we'd be happy to give you a demo as well. Maybe post this webinar, we can reach out to you and kind of set some time up for that.
Yeah, and thanks, Alma. That's what spurred me to be like, oh, I meant to ask that.
Yeah, Ronald has some great questions for us. How does eShow approach post-event community building and networking continuity? I mean, most platforms focus on the event itself. What specific features or strategies do you have in place to help attendees maintain their connections and continue valuable conversation after the event ends?
That's my jam. What's your answer?
My answer is this nice lady here, Diane Hurley, from a marketing standpoint, also plays a big role in our system as well. So based on clients' needs or project needs, we would happily build that continuous recognition or outreach within our systems, and those can be automated. Your app doesn't have to die right after that event. It could live on because the networking piece is so key to that, right? You meet so many people, business cards, thrown like paper everywhere, but you never know. 2 months down the road, you're trying to figure out, well, when did I meet Liz? Oh, I met her there. Let me jump back on the app. So we keep everything live as long as the client wants to make it live. We're not shutting systems off. We're not shutting, outreach off. So we can do that for you.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And then I would just bring up the community framework of how it doesn't have to always be in the tech, but one of the things that we talk about, we call it the 5 S's. It's the show, the site, the series of gatherings, the sounding board, and the shareable moment. So the show being, what is your top of funnel? Do you have one of these webinar series? Do you have a podcast? Do you have a TikTok channel, or even a LinkedIn newsletter that lets people know what's going on all year round? And so that's content that doesn't have to live on a platform. The site, which is what Extra's talking about, is if you leave this open, it's an asynchronous communication opportunity. Leave the networking open, leave something for them to be able to go back to and reference that so that your community members can go to it. Your series of gatherings, now that's where the eShow is used as registration and keeping things going for your in-person and virtual programs all year round. Your sounding board, can you bring together 5 to 7 of your community members to keep you up to date on what content needs to be happening inside your community and in your events? And then your shareable moments, what is the stuff that's coming out of those gatherings that your community can go share on your show, top of funnel, or within the community for them to go share? So that's my little framework, and I'm happy to share that with you individually if it helps.
Great. Any other questions?
No, but I mean, just to piggyback off of what Liz said, it's not just eShow being a community. each community, and Liz and so forth are doing the same thing to make sure that we are a community, and have that one-on-one connection or community. And if you haven't joined Ichi, I would highly suggest you do that as well, because it's another canvas for a lot of great discussions, a lot of great thought leadership. Even as simple as, hey, looking for a venue, or I need a thought on this, and everyone jumps in. So, while sometimes you may be feeling daunting of where do I get this information, as eShow is here, we're think of us as your general contractor for event technology.
Ooh, that's a great line.
Don't steal it.
That's all you.
Borrow. Well, thank you, Akshar and Liz. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you for the great questions. Thank you for the great engagement. I just want to remind you that this will be available on recording. You'll get an email with a recording of this, and we'll also have it posted on our site within 24 hours. Again, we appreciate it. I know we didn't have time to do a demo here. This wasn't as much a product focused webinar like that we do. Our next webinar, which is November 20th, will be on the new version of our mobile app. So we hope that you will join that. You'll see a demo of that. You'll see the slide that's up there now. It has our information on it. If you want to reach out for a demo, any of our team members are happy to accommodate you. So thanks again. Thank you, Liz, so much. We know you're super busy. I guarantee you that during this webinar, you probably.
Oh, I already hit it. I was going to say, Rita, you got me there too. I hit 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. So thank you. I just needed 4 more. And Chris back there, he got me there. Oh, thank you guys.
Okay. Well,
congratulations.
Thank you. Liz, it's always great working with you, and we appreciate your time. Akshar, thank you so much for dedicating your time today as well.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.